Hey now, hey, it's your girl Ranita with A Purposeful Point, and I teach painting in person and online. And today we're painting this cute little kitten. Um, it's titled Brushes and Whiskers. It's not exactly a Halloween theme, but when I saw it, I loved it. I thought it would be a perfect um, painting for a Halloween theme. With that in mind, with that being said, you can change up the colors and paint any color that you like. You do what works for you. I'm going to kind of let me show you guys what I'm working with. So this is what we're going to be painting. And like I said, you feel free to choose the color that you like. Normally I paint on 11 by 14. Today I'm going bigger because this is going to be an example for an upcoming painting event that I have. So this is a canvas board. You're welcome to use paper. Get you some acrylic paper that holds acrylic paint very well. You can also grab a canvas, whatever works best for you. That's what we're painting. And if you want this design to add to your canvas or paper or whatever you're painting with, the link will be below in the comments. So next I want to talk about paintbrushes. I do like to use a larger paintbrush. My flat brushes, if you've ever painted with me, you'll know they're my favorite. And I am going to be using the flat brush to paint the background. And then I'm going to go a little bit smaller. I'll grab one that is not as big. I like my flats, but I also have a pointer for the smaller detail areas. This is considered a detail brush, so you always want to have a detail brush. All right, and then my paints. I am using acrylic paint, more of a crafting paint. It is Deco Art. This is the brand that I like to use. But again, use what works best for you. You know what you like. You know what you already have. So I'm not suggesting to go out and buy anything additional. Do what you already have. Also, I have a cup of water to rinse my brushes in between colors. And I also like to have a paper towel to dab my paintbrush on to get rid of any excess water so that the water is not running down your painting. I had a lady the other day and she wanted a little watercolor effect. So she kind of wet her paint, made it really wet, but you still have to be careful because it kept kind of running down, interfering with some of the other areas of her painting. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. I'm going to start with my orange. A lot of people like me to go over the colors. I'm going to be using purple, black, orange. I got a little bit of a light blue, greenish light blue. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to just use the blue. There's lots of colors in here. I'm not going to use all of them. My background, I'm going to use, like I said, purple, blue. I'm going to use a darker, take blue and add a little bit of black to do my background. White. So let me, I'm jumping around. Let me go over my colors again. I'm going to be using orange, purple, black, white, and blue. And we'll just stick there and we'll talk about anything that I add extra. All right, like I said, I am starting with my, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the below in the comment section and I'll get back to you with this because this is a pre-recorded for you anyway. So I am going to take my largest brush. I'm dipping in the water. I'm like making sure it's nice and wet because if it's not, sometimes after you use them, they dry, they're kind of hard. So you want to make sure that your brush is nice and wet. And then I'm going to take my paper towel, like I said, and touch my brush to my paper towel. I don't want to dry it off. I just want to get rid of any excess water. And I am starting with my background, which is going to be orange. And it's going to kind of be a big, going with kind of like an orange moon. Other suggestions, if you like, you can go with the yellow, whatever. And I am, as you can see, I am kind of painting on some of my cat. But because I have the lines already there on my, how far do I want to go? I want to go all the way down. But I do have my lines already there. So I'm not going to make my paint use the orange and it's not going to be too dark where I can't see my lines. So don't worry about that. So I didn't put the lines of the, let me, I have to, for just a second, I'm gonna have to step back and make sure it's kind of, because I'm looking at it from the side. I want to make sure that that it's even. And it is abstract art. It doesn't have to be even, but I want you guys to comment and say, do I have to make mine crooked like yours? If I will have that happen to me. All right, guys, today I'm painting. Normally, you guys know I'm painting in my basement. And but today I thought I would pop in my studio. It's a Sunday for me, and that's why I might be dressed a little bit extra, just coming from church. But I thought I would come in, try out my studio. I mean, I paint in my studio, but this is more so for my in-person painters. So, but let me in here. Paint in my studio. Get set up. Let me try it like this. So as you guys know, some of you, if you're watching my regulars, I have not done an online painting in a while. So I wanted to jump in here with a little bit of a bang and full blown. Okay. So next I have my orange. If you feel like you want it to be darker or you feel it's streakier, I do suggest you wait until the first layer dries and then come back with the second layer if you want to do it darker. I'm smoothing it out right now, just kind of smoothing things out. See, I got some areas that I missed. Don't worry about staying outside the line. As you can see, I'm not outside the line. So just, again, the cat's gonna be black. Well, my cat's gonna be black. If you have a brown or another color, but if it's gonna be a darker color, you should be okay with covering some sections of your cat. So I'm putting my second layer on. But like I said, I do suggest that if you're adding a second layer, you let the first layer dry. Mine is fairly dry. So now I'm just kind of smoothing things, making sure that I don't, like his hair, I make sure I get in there, even though I have to paint on my cat to get in the grooves of the hair, making sure I got that because I was kind of lacking. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to switch to my purple. And I'm going to rinse my brush out because I don't want to mix my orange. Okay, and I'm rinse my brush. I did touches the paper towel to get rid of any excess water. You guys, I'm feeling a little nervous. I've been doing this for years and years, but for some reason it feels a little different. I guess because this is new, something different that I'm trying. But next I grab my purple. I'm still using my larger flat brush. You can usually find these flat brushes or any paint brushes. I do have the information below. Forgot to mention that in the comments with suggestions on where you can get your brushes, your canvases, and your paints as well. So I am usually when you do your paints, your brushes, they do like say, hey, you gotta buy the pack of brushes. Now, my purple is a little bit darker than the orange, but it's still, you guys notice that I am steering clear of my yellow for right now, because my orange, because I don't want it to blend. I'm going to get close, but I'm allowing my orange to dry. You guys normally be a little bit quicker, but because I'm using such a large canvas, sure, might have to be careful about adding my purple over his tail. So I want to make sure I can still see the lines. Keep in mind, we are using acrylic paint. Acrylic paint does dry and it does stain your clothes. I do have my apron on because I believe 85% of all my clothing do have paint You're thinking paint's on the brush. This is the only place it should be. But for some reason, for some mysterious reason, I find myself with paint everywhere. Just opening up my paint to get started, there's paint all over my hands. But they say good artists, you have paint everywhere. I don't believe that. That's not true. Just kidding, guys. But now I'm just kind of my orange should be about dry. I'm going to bring my purple in closer. Trying to avoid my tail because, like I said, that purple is starting to cover up my tail. Also, did I mention that we're using acrylic paint and it dries fast? And it dries fast and dries darker. So it might be kind of light on here, but it will dry darker. So now I'm bringing my purple up next to my orange. Guys, and I always tell my painters to make sure that you wait to the end to judge your painting. I usually tell my painters don't judge other people's painting. But since you guys are online, I don't have to worry about that unless you're painting in a group. But do say, hey, don't judge your painting till you're done. A few areas that I feel like need a little bit. Fill that in. I don't want to really see any white. My paint. Sometimes when you see the white in your paint, we've went over it once before. It just means that your brush might be dry and you'll need to wet your brush a little bit. Okay. It's looking pretty good. It's like I brought my. So I might have to stand up again so I can see how even I am. Sometimes you have to stand back and make sure you get a good picture. Okay. A good visual. So this area here, I'm trying to avoid painting on my cuts. Like I said, this purple's darker and it's covering up my lines, but really I should go smaller with a smaller brush to get in there. And as usual, I got way too much paint on my brush. I was thinking, oh, I'm going big because I have this big canvas. I need more paint. It's not true, guys. So to avoid wasting just a little bit at a time, you would be so surprised at how much paint you don't need for painting. That's why I normally in my studio, I don't allow the painters to pour their paint because they over compensate. And then I've also, when I have open studio, I do have paints out that you can pour your paint as you like. And then they pour huge amounts of paint on their trays. So keep that in mind. You don't need as much as you think. Okay. So I'm switching colors. I'm going over to my blue. And then I'm going to do my edges blue. Okay. See I didn't rid of the excess water. You can see you can't see, but the paint is starting. And blue is definitely darker than the object, so I'm definitely going to paint around this time. Everything else, I'm pretty much going to be painting blue. The rest of my background, I'm going to do it. Go ahead and paint. Guys, since this is a recording, if I'm moving too fast, which I really don't think, like I said, mine is probably bigger than yours, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to paint it than it would do. If I am moving too fast, you are welcome to pause the video and catch up with me. Also, I chatter. Some people don't like it. You are welcome to mute as well and just kind of follow along with my actions. And then unmute as needed if you think you think I'm giving some instruction. You might. Do have music playing lightly in the background so that it's not muted. It is real royalty-free music. But actually, I can hear it, but you guys probably can't. Turn it up a little bit while I finish up my background. As I get closer to the subject, so that you can get in and stay close, you can probably should have hit that. And as I paint this, it's also me taking notes. I probably should have painted that cup first. So that way it is a white cup. So I'm taking notes for, like I said, I am teaching this to a larger group in person. So I will make note of that to paint that, start doing my orange, then I'll jump down and do the do that cup and then go back to the darker colors. And then by the time I get to that cup, my background, by the time I get to the blue area, then the cup will be dry. So I'm going over in some areas that are white. Get my brush a little bit so I'm going get those. You'll see some white. And the white that I see is just because the canvas is textured. Guys, if you're wondering if I'm going to get back to doing my online painting sessions, they are coming for the month of October. And I may have them already scheduled. Your painting test. This is supposed to be my I'm back. So the hey, I'm back. Also, if you are painting on a canvas, this will be a good time to go ahead and paint your sides, because when you are hanging your painting on a wall and it's at an angle, you want the sides you're painting to wrap around the canvas. Okay, I also want to go ahead and start adding some black in. I didn't get on my tray. And I'm telling you the colors that I've used and I'm using. I encourage you to make this painting your own. If you want to change up your colors, you definitely can do that. So this is where we are now. Okay. And so actually that example is more purple and less blue, but I've incorporated blue. Mixing. I did my brush in black, and you have to be careful with the black because black can have a tendency to take over. And so now I'm coming back on top of that black with some blue. Like I said, I'm blending that black in, especially. So I'm mixing blue and black, or blue, bring it up here. A little bit over here, a little bit over there, darker around the area. And again, I'm looking at it from the side. If it's a little bit crooked, give me some gray. And again, give yourself some gray. Always like, all right, look at that. Those are areas that we always forget. I'm going to make that purple, and I'm going to go down to my medium size flat brush, or smaller flat brush, whatever works for you. I'm going to go ahead and get in there and get the purple. And then I'm doing it. I forgot that that's going to be white. So I really shouldn't have made it purple. We'll work with it. We'll work with it. What's next, guys? Let me see. I want to go ahead and work with the cup. I'm going to paint that cup a light blue. That way, since I was talking about white, now it's not going to affect it as much. Again, you choose what works best for you. I always want to make sure that I'm working with colors that well, for me, I have to make sure I'm working with colors that I have so that I can so that's what my painters are going to paint. But again, you use yours if you have to two. Fine, there's nothing wrong with those two paintings. I have the two paintings. I do those at home with my personal art. So that purple is still wet. You can see that it's in my blue. So that's why. All down. I'm kind of going horizontal because I want my strokes to go horizontal. So there's a method to my madness. Bring it all the way down. I'm in my paint studio. It's nice and bright. I like it. It's sun shining outside. I am next to a window, so you may hear the traffic out there. So that's pretty neat too. If you want to know the colors that I use, which again, you use what works for you, but just reach out to me. Colors. Oh my God, black brush. Wash it out. I'm not washing it. Just dabbing it on. Okay, where is the color? This brush is too big for. clean it all up with when I add my black to the cat's tail. A tendency to white areas. I want to get all that. All right, so we also there are some kind of use this color with his eyeballs. Doesn't matter if I leave that because it's going to be black in the middle. Right, perfect. Now, I'm going to hit up his little nose. We're going to get his nose, his ears. I want to do all of the lighter areas before I add the black. So that's what I'm looking at now, making sure I have all the areas that are supposed to be a lighter shade on that white there. So I'm going to get those areas, but I'm going to leave that white for right now and go to the other area. You can, um, if I do have the blue already in my brush, there's some areas in the purple. I'm going to go ahead and now these are just kind of accents, some finishing touches type things. You don't have to add this. You can wait to see how you feel with the colors that you added to see if it's something that you even like. We'll come back to this color because it is some colors on his on the cat that also, which you can wait till the end. I'm loving it. Now, what color his inner ear? I'm gonna go with purple. So I already have the purple on my canvas. You can change colors again. I already have it. This is me not using additional colors. So my example, I believe it's squeeze pink. I was trying to be really careful, but again, it doesn't matter. I can see my lines. If I can't see my lines, and also for yourself, if you have the tracer, after it dries, you can put the tracer on back on top and trace over it so that you can get your lines back. So don't worry about that. I'm gonna add a little bit of white, blend a little bit of white in my ears. Paint that nose any color you like. If you like a pink nose, you can do that. Well, I also have some blue still. I'm gonna tap on it to brush, mix a little blue with my purple. so that different shade of purple. Just kind of smoothing it out, blending a little bit. Did wash the all color out. It's already color in there. Those colors. Now, did we get every area that's light? Is it time for us to jump in and paint or black to make sure that I've gotten everything? You don't want to go back because the black is going to cover everything and we're going to be able to clean up some things with our black. I'm going to go ahead and start with the smaller flat brush and get the tail. I like this is a time. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be perfect, but go slow. Go slow in this section here because we're using the black to cover up anything, any areas that weren't all that even, spaces, things that we might have left. Just go slow. And sometimes if you are out of the line, that might mean you might have to wait, make that area wider to make the correction. If that makes sense. See here, maybe I went outside the line there and that was supposed to be a thinner area. Well, I'm going to take and go make it bigger. So it'll grab those areas that I might have not have wanted to go out that far. So you notice I'm not talking much. So I'm concentrating. You guys usually know I'm slapping paint on it, but I think, and normally it is, but I think because this is going to be my exam, I might be a little more careful than what I normally. Now, um, you can curl it, you can bring it up higher, you can, I'm going to say I want mine to be a little bit wider. Maybe you want the tail to be bushy. It's up to you. So I'm doing this, I'm looking at it at an angle. You guys tell me if I should have stopped earlier. But I put some more emphasis on it. Okay. And you don't have to do this. This is me playing around. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and jump over to the body. Now, my edges, I use the edge of my brush to kind of make I won't say a straight line, but to kind of curve right there. So I can that's how I make my edges. It's like just the edge of the brush. Come all the way down. See that? That makes sense. And also I'm going to do it on the other side. Get up. Oh, Okay, does that make sense? Scoot up, scoot back so far. Hope you guys hear me too. I couldn't get my microphone to work, so I just took that off. And usually I'm so close and I talk so loud that everything's good. So and I hope that's one of these situations. Okay. Now it doesn't matter which direction that you're going as you fill in because the blacks show up very much. Oh, I'm using I have a smaller flat brush, but this one is going right here in the middle. So this way, this is times where, it doesn't, you don't have to slow down and be careful. Now, if you're getting close to the edge, slow down and be careful. But here, again, it doesn't matter which direction, what's going on over there. So I am going to go ahead and kind of around this eye. And after I paint this, I'll kind of write down my directions so that when I'm presenting this to the group, I'll remember what I did. You would think that I would know, but I don't remember. So I was getting ready to skip around, but let me go back to this eye because I don't want to freak you guys out. This is where normally for me, I like to paint flat so that I can take the edge and get around that brush. I'm probably going to move so that I can get the top first. I can get around those edges without having to paint a line around the eyes. I just do the edge of the brush to do that. And do this one as well. Normally, I do try to keep this under an hour. So, checking time. Now, you take as long as you want. Like I said, you stop and go as you like. I'm not rushing, but I still like to be respectful of people's time. Well, normally, if I'm recording and I have people on, I try to be respectful. But since it's recorded, take your time. It's all good. Yeah, I'm kind of jumping around again. I kind of want to make sure that I have all of my larger areas covered with the bigger brush so that before I switch to my smaller brush. So that's what I'm kind of trying to do right. Get close, get the bigger areas before I switch to a smaller brush. I could probably do that age, bigger brush. Okay. How's he looking? He's so cute. He's so cute, guys. He needs to, I need this picture. he's not even finished and he's still looking adorably cute. All right, so now I'm gonna grab my, just said I have another flat brush that's a little bit smaller than the one before. This will allow me to get into areas, different areas. I'm not going to be exact. You guys can see it's like his hair, so I'm going to like swoop up into the areas. I'm not going to make the painted exact and even and stand in the lines. You can see what I mean by kind of swoosh it up in there. I'm not going to worry about staying in the lines there. There's some areas, I mean, even here around his ears, we can, doesn't have to be exact. You guys see what I mean there? We're making it look like cat hair. This helps you to not worry about if it's exact. I'm going to do the same thing up in here, his ears. Okay, does that make sense? That looks good. Oh, look, he's so cute, guys. All right, so let's get this on top. But when you are doing this, make sure if you have lines, make sure that you are covering up the lines, the pre-traced lines, the ones that are already on there, and making sure that I get those covered. And so that requires me to go out and above where the actual lines are. But just make sure you cover them. Okay. He looks so cute. And I know when you're painting this, you might be worried that don't worry. It's super cute. It's just fun. You'll love it. He's adorable either way. It's my pointer brush stuck to my arm and flung out over. So I'm gonna do this. Get in there. Even though I said I painted over the lines, you can still see the lines. Make sure that I'm getting you covered. Okay. I'm just tickled. Why does this ear that? Give some edges. Again, he's cute, and I like the colors, and they reminded me of kind of a Halloween theme. But you don't have to make him. And then if you have the tracer to do this over and over again, you have the video. You can paint this as many times as you like. Would love for you guys to send me a picture of your painting and just let me know if you don't want me to post it. You send this, say, please, this is just for my eyes only. That's cool. I can do that. But if you wanted to paint this again in different colors, the background colors, something sunny and yellow and springish, that would be cool. Like can be springish. You can change the purple to more of a brighter color, the blue, take that dark blue off. Anything like that, just change it. It's a cat in a teacup. The teacup has nothing to do with Halloween, but again, I just thought it would be kind of went with the Halloween theme. Now I'm going to go around his nose. Now you see where I've done this here. I'm going to leave that I'm going to paint around those lines and just do something different. Those lines. I have decided. And I'm going really slow around his nose because if I mess up, then the nose gets smaller and smaller because I'm gonna bring that black in to make corrections. So I gotta go a little bit slower. And the same for you. Just go a little bit slower when you're around it. Right. As soon as I get off with you guys, I have to do it right away so I can remember. Take notes of all the things that I said that I would have done differently so that I'll be ready for the paint with the group. It was raining today. Was I my son had to usher at church, so I dropped him off in front of the church, and then I went to the park. And then, sure enough, it rained. Started raining pretty hard, so I sat there waiting for the rain to let up, and then made a run for the church. So it was raining pretty hard, and I was like, "Oh wow, the stuff that's playing today." I was like, "It's not going to happen." Well, it cleared up. It's all sunny and beautiful outside, so I guess plans won't change. Is what I expected. Hey guys, so he's finished up. He's not finished. I'm ready to do my accents, but I want to make sure some areas are dry. I want to, I'm going to start around his eyes. Mine's is it's pretty much, there's some areas, I'm going to smooth out some areas so that he'll go ahead and some where I see paint is a little bit heavier so that when I'm ready to, mm, what happened there? Paint came right off the camera, but just to smooth it out. So there we go. So areas that I might want to add some things to. I started with his tail, so I can definitely go ahead and do some things to his tail. Right now, I'm just in it, evening out some thicker paints, areas where it's thicker. So I want them to go ahead and dry so that I can jump on to the next thing. Okay, I'm going to go back to my blue. I'm going to, I probably should use my pointer brush, but I'm going to go back to the brush I just used to fill in black. I'm going to turn it, angle it. And again, if you're not done with your cat, go ahead and pause the video. But I'm going to, and then turn it back on when you're ready to go to the next step. I have my blue. Highlighting. And then when I have people do the highlight, keep in mind, I am not on the edge. I still see black. I'm not on the edge. Make sure you leave some black in between the outer part of the cat and the inner part. These are kind of some highlights that I always love to do my highlights. Okay, guys? Now, when I pick this music, it's supposed to be instrumental, guys. I'm not digging the this music. Like it's royalty free, so you get what you pay for. So you just don't know what you're gonna get, and you can't be mad. All right, so I do have this thicker brush and it is a little bit too thick for what I want to do. Now I'm going to pick up the pointer brush that I brought. Now I'm going to go and do some of the white areas. Now, let's go ahead and make some circles in his eyes. And hopefully, I'm going to make sure that I put, if you guys grab the tracer, make sure that I put the eyeball. We have to figure out how to eyeball. My pointer brush is horrible. You guys know I'm real quiet. I'm trying to be exact. Okay, go ahead and wash that out. Now I have all this white on my tray. I got carried away with it. Now his pupils are should be white. Okay. Now, like I said, my tracing lines are still there. So I might have to put a second coat of the white to cover those tracing. You should- So grab your detail brush. We're going to put some details in our painting. And again, if I'm ahead of you, just pause the video. This is my detail brush. I already have the paint in it. Detail, so it's the little things. I mean, I do have a brush I was using before. It's a pointer brush, or a pointer, but that point has to be, excuse me, allergy season. It has to be, it was kind of separating. My bristles didn't stay together. I need them to stay together to do. So now I'm going to put some eyelashes on this fella. And don't be concerned about it being exact or how it turns out. It is what it is. This is it is what it is. And the title is Brushes and Whiskers. So let's get those whiskers on there. How far out? They can be short, they can be long whiskers. They don't have to be straight. My whiskers are not straight, guys. They get the job done. They tell the story. His whiskers look a little bit crazy. Now I want to put some white cup. Yeah, this is why I don't really use the detail brush for feet. You use it for detail. That being said, the highlights, details, giving the cup a little bit of dimension is what we're doing now. So I'm using the white, and like I said, I'm going around the edges. But I'm painting and not talking. Sorry, guys. But going around the edges, um, this is optional. You can use a different color, but the different colors with a little bit, lighter and darker, it kind of gives things dimension. And that's exactly, if you think about what I just did and what it looked like before I did this, I'm just giving it some dimension. Okay, that makes sense. Um, I want to go to my blue, that light blue that I use for the cup in the area. I want to do, no, how about I do some, I'm going to use the dark background and put some highlights in. I'm going to, I'm going to take that blue, and a lot of times the blue is a little transparent. So, but I would want it to be not transparent. So I am mixing a little bit of white with my, not to make it a light blue, but just make it an opaque blue. See the difference? I didn't change it to blue, but I wanted to make that opaque. So swipes is almost like I'm making the whiskers, but I'm putting some highlights to some of his fur on his head. For that twice. But again, like I said, I wasn't crazy about just the blues, too opaque, too transparent. So I did add a little bit of white to the paint, but not enough to make it a light blue, just enough to make it opaque. Okay. And don't get carried away with that section. Okay. I might take that mouth off. I'm not real crazy about that. We'll see. Um, Here, now I'm just kind of adding things, but I just, let's see what I like. I'm just going around putting that back up. Make sure that you like it. Right? I'm just kind of putting a few highlights. I do want to put a little bit of that blue in there. I want to put some in there as well. The lighter blue that we talked about. Just kind of I'm putting on there, but I'm not putting them on top of the blue that I already had there, guys. Okay. And also everything but orange. You can throw in a little bit of the purple. Okay. Using the colors. Now I didn't wash out my brush, so when I do that purple, a little bit of that blue shows up as well. But I have all the paint. Don't get carried away with too many of them. You know how you guys, a couple of them look cute and then you try to add more. So just be careful with that. Okay. Put, you know, kind of a cross top of his nose to that out. I'm going to take my white and do a few highlights. Like his nose, like this brush. I'm going to use the brush. I'm going to use the butt of the brush. We're putting highlights, all these things now that I'm doing, they're optional. If it's not what you like with your painting, you can stop where you are. I'm just adding a few, like I said, a few highlights. I'm going to take the butt of my brush and I dipped it in white. And I'm going to do and I'm going to dip it one more time. Do the same thing in this eye. Okay. And then I kind of want to do some highlights in this area. This is the white paint. Again, you do not have to do this part. And then also that the butt of the brush, you can go through and um, add the, like I said, the spots, the circles. You can do that as well. Again, that is optional. You do what works best for you. All right, guys, I've enjoyed our time. And I kept it as close to the hour as I could. Again, there's no rush. Take as long as you like. If you enjoy this and you have, if you want to do any more, I did put a link in the down in the comment area. The comment area is golden, guys. It's so full of information for you. If you wanted to paint again with me, I do have some options for you to see the different paintings that I have available to paint along with me. You can go there. If you have any questions or suggestions, I love suggestions because I didn't know. I'm just kind of guessing. I think something is cute and some people might not think it's cute. So I would love any suggestions that you have for us to paint so that we can do this again for sure. Just let me know. Send me a comment, or just if you just want to say hi, email me, or just whatever. Just leave me a comment, or my email address is also there. You can shoot me an email. All right, guys, I've so enjoyed painting with you guys, and I will see you next time.